少年ジャンプス。
Oh my god. Welcome back to Shonen Chumps, the only anime podcast on the gosh darn internet. That features the three of us. As always, I'm Brennan.
I'm Sean.
I'm Dylan.
And if you didn't know what we do here, we watch anime and then we hang out and talk about it. This week, we watched Attack on Titan, the final season, part 1.
All right, guys. So as always, you can reach us at shonenchumps@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at shonenchumps, and you can listen to us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple iTunes Podcast, Spotify, wherever you want. Okay, so guys, my fellow chumps, what did you think of Attack on Titan, the final season, part 1, in one sentence?
Okay, I was thinking about this earlier today, and it's a tough one to come up with a sentence for, but I'm gonna take a stab at it. Okay. Attack on Titan, Season 4, Part 1, knocking at the door of the Hall of Greats? ?
Oh, the Hall of Greats.
Nice. Very sick.
Yeah.
Brennan?
Thank you.
Yeah, I also gave this a bit of thought too, but I don't know. We're going to improv it. We're going to see how it goes. So my sentence is, I was so hyped that this season felt like season 1 all over again. And then I was disappointed.
Oh, no. Not again. Oh, God.
I'll elaborate later.
Okay.
But Sean?
Right. This is the most pleased I've been with Attack on Titan since season 1.
Hey,
So
all right.
essentially, it's all the positivity of Brennan's statement without the at the end.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay, I was very nervous. I was very nervous that I was going to be the only one who liked it.
Okay, so like let me just make myself clear. I still love this season. I thought it was a great season. But I just hate being edged. I'm so tired of being edged by this show. Can you just fucking tell me what happens, please?
Oh,
Right.
okay. So are you getting at the fact that going into this, they hadn't said that there was going to be a part 2. It very much seemed like, hey, this is the final season, and then to get that technicality of, we're doing part 2 of the final season later.
I mean, like that is like a logistics thing, and like that is part of it. But I was really excited at like for the first half of this show. I was so stoked that like I was watching every episode like back to back because I waited until all of the episodes had come out before watching them. I wasn't watching it week to week, so I was so stoked on what was happening that I needed to know what was gonna happen in the next episode, and I was super hyped until about halfway when the show stops giving you necessary information to know what's going on. And then by the end of the series, it's just like, hey, all those questions you have as to why you should care about anything that's happening right now, you'll find out in another year.
Right. The classic Attack on Titan.
Yeah, I got Titan, dude, as per usual.
You got Titan.
But this time, it finally felt like the doors were open.
Yeah,
like
for
we
sure.
were literally, okay, not literally, but we were let into the kingdom and shown like behind the closed doors of what was actually going on in this weird society or societies in this world.
We're seeing the big picture, which was awesome.
Yeah, we didn't get like maybe the truly big secrets. Maybe those are still to come. Although we did get a lot. We did get a lot revealed to us.
For sure. My qualm is mostly with character motivations. And I guess we'll talk about it later, but especially like what Aaron is up to and what his role is, especially in the latter half of the season, and like his actions and the feelings of the people around him are all kind of dependent on you like knowing what he's up to in the first place. And like they hint at certain things really hard, but like just I like I wish I just knew why people were motivated to do some of the things they did.
Yeah, who is Aaron?
Yeah, at this point.
Yeah,
Straight up.
I think it's worth noting, Brennan, you just talked about getting edged, and both Sean and Brennan, if I'm not mistaken, watched the full season in 2 days.
Maybe 3 days. Maybe three.
Maybe 3. Okay, let's say 2 to 3
for
days.
Me. I
think
did
2
2 days.
for 2 for Brennan, and I love edging myself. That's take that statement how you want it. But I watched this show. Like I waited till the show was done, and then still I made sure to stretch out my watch of the show over like 3, maybe more like 5 weeks, because I took a 2 to 3 week break in the middle of the show, because I love living with the mystery.
Right.
And
but Dylan,
I
doesn't
totally
this go for every show? Like, it's not Attack on Titan specific. Same with me. Like, if I had any show that was 12 episodes to watch, I would watch it all in 3 days, probably.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing with me, for sure. Like, I like to stretch things out, and especially if I like them, I want to live with it more. And a show like this, I can imagine it being just so frustrating to kill a season in 2 to 3 days and then have to wait. Now you guys have to wait another year. And of course I have to wait another year too. But I'm almost prepping myself for that. I'm easing myself into it. Like, hey, you want answers? Wait a week. Wait a week.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like
I'm so used to just waiting for Attack on Titan, man. Ever since the first season.
Yeah.
So I'm almost fine with it now. As long as I know the next chunk is the end. Like, I really hope they don't pull apart 3.
Yeah.
Which I guess we know that the manga's over, so hopefully they can't do that.
Yeah.
Then I'm good. Like, I'll wait when part 2 starts airing. I'll bide my time. I'm gonna wait for it to all be over. I'm gonna wait for it to be over in English, and then I'm gonna dive in. You know?
Yeah. Actually, Sean, you mentioning the manga finishing is actually an important note, because it does mean that really they couldn't have finished the show right now, right? Because the manga only just finished
in like April. But when did this season finish airing? March. The end of March.
And I think it started in December, and I don't know. I mean, do we know if the manga team is talking to the anime team, or like what? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how involved the creator of the manga is with the anime. Like, does he just hand off his chapters?
Like maybe they didn't want to Game of Thrones themselves and have the show take over, like lap it. And yeah, we actually talked about on our last episode. We actually talked about how this show is kind of make or break in the last season, rushing to the finish line, and the answers we get, how it concludes, will determine whether or not this is a great show. And I think we even talked about Game of Thrones destroying itself in the last season. So yeah, I mean, maybe I'm down for the manga to finish first, and for them to get a good handle on how to finish this show using the manga as source material rather than, I guess, Game of Thronesing themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. Well, like the alternative route is that they could have gone the Full Metal Alchemist route and just like kind of veered into their own ending, which I feel like Mappa, or who does this, Production IG. I forget at this point. I think it's Mappa
This
right
one's
now.
yeah,
I think it's
Mappa.
Mappa.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
They would probably have a field day with that shit. They'd be like, yeah, we're going to do our own ending, and then we're going to bring all the fans back in order to do the actual ending. Like, they just want to tack on as many seasons of Attack on Titan as they probably can, even though they're handling like 7 other anime right now. Like, I don't even know.
That's like funny because like honestly that method seems like playing with fire, and
Right.
it worked so well for Full Metal Alchemist because we got
Both
two
of those
great
endings were
we got
so
two
good.
great shows out of it.
Yeah.
Mind you, I would say I think Brennan and I both feel that Brotherhood was better, but like the true manga ending.
We have to bring this up right now. Oh my god!
No, I'm
they're
just
both
getting.
10 out of 10s.
sorry. You're right.
Yeah,
That's
they're both
that is
beautiful
off
in their
topic.
own ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there definitely is beauty on both sides. But guys, actually, something else I wanted to mention now that we were just kind of talking about, make or break in the final season. This being the final season, I wanted to talk about one feeling I was getting from this show, and it's not so much the subject matter or whatever, but it was about the mystery and it being unfurled. It gave me a lot of feelings of 2010 watching the final season of Lost.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it just kind of finally building towards something where you're just like wondering the whole time, and it's just answers like every episode, and like learning about motivations, and it's interesting even. Going back all the way to season 1, like we get a flashback of the events of season 1 from Reiner's perspective. Like these really interesting. It almost reminded me of when we see in spoilers for season 1 of for Lost, like seeing how in season 1 of Lost there's like those 2 skeletons that they find, and like you find out in season 6 of Lost that it's actually the man in black and his mother's body.
Right.
Weird things like that. That's like an obscure example, but I'm just getting at like things we've been wondering about all along.
It's just stuff being recontextualized with the answers now.
And
it's awesome as hell. I love it too, man.
And it was really also nice to know that like there was a plan for all of this.
Yeah,
or if there wasn't like a specific plan, it's just like, they have an answer for all these things that we've been wondering. It really kind of gives legitimacy to like a lot of things, a lot of qualms, quite frankly, that we had been asking, I think, in season like 1, 2, and 3, and like things we've been wondering about. And it's really cool to see everything come full circle like that, and like super satisfying.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's like home run after home run of just payoff. I'm not saying they have the best justifications for all these weird mysteries in Attack on Titan, but it feels good for there to be justification after justification in a row.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels good, man. No longer being left in the dark.
Yeah.
It changes the whole dynamic of the show. Now all we're wondering about is why Eren is a bad character.
Right, and that's a big question mark that unfortunately kind of sullied the excitement for me of getting those answers to begin with. But I mean, like I do have to say, regardless of that, those answers were incredibly satisfying, and it is actually it's so cool to see just the scope of things, and it's like it's such a different show now than what it was when we first started watching it. And it's really cool to just have that comparison there,
Yeah, dude. When we started watching the show, it was like crazy action. Everybody's swinging around the city like Spider-Man. And now it's like we wait many episodes in the season in order to get one fight scene in the middle of the night where you can barely see anything.
Yeah.
This is not a knock necessarily, but like, it is what we got. Just totally weird, just different dynamics. Like, even the action is different. The talking scenes are different. Like, it's just straight up a different show in a lot of ways, which is cool.
Yeah.
Cool shift.
The whole point of the show has also kind of changed as well, because when you started watching it, you were just rooting for these underdog humans who were being crushed and destroyed by this unimaginable supernatural force, and that's the entire like, driving force of the show is like, you're like, will these people survive this thing and figure out why they've been subjected to this in the first place? And now that you have the answers, it's like much more complicated than that. And there's like a huge ethical quandary on top of everything. And it's just a big sort of examination, I guess, of human nature and like inherent bias, right? And just like societal things that like people take for granted when it comes to constructing their beliefs. And it's just interesting to see that entire kind of thesis shift as well. I really like that.
Yeah, you would have no idea of the depth that the show has in season 1. Like, yeah, it's just like an action show, and like just seeing how far it's come. It's a totally different show.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm trying to even think. Like, I mean, it's been a long time since seeing season 1, and I'd be really curious to go back and watch it to look for clues of what's to come. And I don't really remember specific things. Like, I mean, obviously, it's not really a clue. It's like it's just out there. Like season 1 ends with you seeing that there's a Titan in the wall, and you're like,
right.
"The hell is that about?" I don't know if there are other really major like hints that I guess allude to the future, but even then, like they really sidestep that for a long time. You don't really know like what's up with that until now.
Part of that is like we've talked about this in our other episodes of Attack on Titan. Like I think I brought it up specifically is that the show just moves so slowly, and I don't mean in terms of how often it gives you answers to questions. I just mean like every season, I think I brought this up very specifically, is like it has time for one battle and like one event. That's really all you get. Like even this season we're doing, like it covers two chapters, 2 arcs of the manga. There's the Marley arc and then the War for Paradise. Like even that, like we had that one battle in the darkness between those Titans when like Eren finally eats somebody, and then we have this whole like fallout where Eren's in a prison cell, and then it's just like every season is kind of just 2 things spread out over 12 episodes or 25 episodes, however you want to handle it. Can you think back to season 1 and think about like how much time we spent on every little moment? There was there was a time when Eren, when he first turns into a Titan and then turns back, and he's with Mikasa and Armin, and he like half of his body transforms to like the upper half of a Titan just to shield his friends from like a fucking missile or something.
Because they're on
We spent the whole episode in that moment.
Yeah,
right.
Like, what the fuck is going on? Crazy.
Yeah, that's really cool thinking about it now. Like how much they took their time.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting approach.
Guys, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to talk about the thing that we just talked about, because I was about to change the subject.
Change the subject, baby.
Okay. How long in this season 4, did it take you to realize that this character we were seeing was Eren Yeager?
Oh, the vet? You mean when he's like playing the injured vet?
Yeah.
As soon as he looked up at the camera at the end of that episode where he's talking to Falco.
Yeah.
Really?
Like, wait, I
it's
think...
like that was a reveal. It was like that was actually one of the hypest moments for me because like
Dude.
Okay, so like the first few episodes we're seeing this like it's kind of like startling, it's kind of jarring because you're like, who are these people? Why are we watching them? And then they explain it to you. It's like, oh, they're like the people of Marley carrying out this like military campaign against the Middle East Federation or something, and it's the result of it. This is like years after the events of the previous season, and like it's the result of them losing in their operation, them having been defeated, like how other nations are trying to like make a move on them and stuff like that. So it's cool to like oh, you get that context, and then you're following these people and you're like, okay, but how does it relate back to the main cast and like the people we've been following this whole time? And then like it's the way the show is like setting its hooks in. It's like endearing these characters to you. Like you see the world from their point of view. Like you see like Gabby's kind of like unrestrained nationalism because that's like how she's been raised, and the sort of stuff that society's hammered into her brain, like, oh, we have to be the good Eldians, and like, I have to prove my worth as a soldier, and I'm gonna inherit the Shield Titan or the Armor Titan or whatever. So like you're seeing all this stuff, and like you're really getting invested in all these characters, and you realize that they're Marleyan, and you know what the show is doing to you, because eventually it's gonna have to snap back to that original cast, and it's gonna be a hard contrast. And the moment it chooses to do that is when they reveal that, oh my god, Eren has infiltrated like the Marleyan military, essentially, and like some shit is about to go down starting right now. Like the big war that you've been waiting for all this time is about to pop off right now. And like he looks up, and it's like, damn, dude, that was such a powerful moment. I was so hyped.
Yeah, Sean,
so you're talking about when he's talking to the boy on the bench, Falco, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you see his eyes, his dead, cold, 1,000-yard stare eyes. It's like, oh god, that's fucking Eren, dude.
Sean, when did you realize?
Okay, here's the thing, guys. I noticed dangerously late.
Oh no!
Like when he's in the cell with Reiner?
Yeah, when Falco brings Rhina, Rhina, right? Not Bertolt. Yeah. I'm getting it mixed up now. Rhina down to the cell, and Eren looks up, and he's like, "Hey, it's your old friend Eren Yeager. He's here to meet you." I'm like, "Wow, this is Eren. This is what he looks like." And then, like a whole another episode later, I was like, "Wait, Eren was the guy from the like
so you didn't catch that he was talking to his grandfather, like that doctor who comes up to him, and he's like, like they call him Dr. Yeager, and he's like speaking to him, and he's like, I had a son, I shouldn't have been so hard on him, that's why I made him crazy, blah blah blah. Like, you didn't pick up on that?
No, I did not.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's a big moment. Are you realizing that now, Sean? Or did you, like, realize?
I'm realizing it right now as you're telling me. I remember this conversation between these two guys, and I'm pretty sure this old man is talking about who I'm thinking, but I didn't realize that he was saying it to Eren.
Right.
Just because, the mere act of listening to Eren whine and scream like a little bitch for 3 seasons, and then him having this really deep voice now put on in this season completely threw me off. Slow clap to the voice actor.
Sure, I was gonna say, the voice acting is quite brilliant, because they don't make it obvious, right? It's not
not at all.
It's the same voice, but it's not like it's different enough. And that's really something special that it almost made me appreciate something, because that's something you could only do in illustration. Because if this was live action, you'd recognize the actor unless you hit the face, right? You just like, that's him. But because they have the opportunity to like draw him just like different enough and change his voice just different enough, makes it a little bit obscure.
Yeah.
Because I think to be fair, it feels like longer, but he's only introduced in episode 3, and I believe the end of episode 3 is where it's revealed that it's Eren. Like, I guess to most people, and then it's episode 4. It's the end of episode 4 where Reiner sees Eren in the cellar. I don't know if they talk in that episode, but it's like, oh hey, they're in the cellar together now. So it's really not that much time. But the way they kind of hint at it more explicitly is that in episode 3, I think Reiner has a flashback to where he says when Eren's like struggling to master like the ODM gear or something, and Reiner says to him, just do what you have to do to keep moving forward. And then at the end of the episode, War Vet Eren says that. He says, like, you have to just keep moving forward. He says something like that to Falco. And it's like, so he's quoting Reiner there.
Yeah.
Now, Brendan, you touched on the beginning of the season, just in how it relates to War Vet Reiner, and I wanted to talk to you guys about that, because I'm curious what you guys thought. In like the first scene is, I think, like Falco, I think it's Colt, his brother or whatever, is like passed out on a field or something. Oh no, wait, I think it is Falco.
No, it is Falco who's knocked out, and his brother
and he's
comes
just
and gets
like,
him.
wait, wasn't I just like looking at the ocean, or he says some shit like that, like, or wasn't I like
he's
a bird just now?
Yeah, he's like flying through the air with the ODM gear.
Yeah,
that's what he was describing.
Yeah, he was like, wasn't I just like flying through the air? And then it shows that it's a war, and so I thought, And then it shows that there's a war going on. So I thought that this was all in the past, like well before the invasion of Paradis. Yeah, because in season 3, remember how the owl, who's the leader who infiltrated Marley, he saves Grisha, Aaron's father, and then he says like, "Oh, make sure to save Armin and Mikasa." Oh, they're not for my memory. So it's like he's like looking into the future. So then I thought this kid was also looking into the future somehow, like because all Eldians have a link. So I still don't know what that's about, because he was like, "Wow, wasn't I just like flying through the air?" And then so this whole time I thought, okay, this is the past, and they're fighting a war against. Must have been like the Eldian War, like a long time ago or something like that. I just like couldn't figure out what was happening.
The guy that you mentioned. Sorry, the guy that you mentioned, his name was Aaron, right? Who said, like, protect Mikasa.
Yeah, the owl. Yeah, the owl. Yeah, his name is Aaron. Yeah, you're right.
Sorry, was he a Titan? I forget. Was he like one of the special Titans?
Yeah. He had the attack Titan power.
That's what I figured. So I thought that, like, that specific Titan ability, like, maybe, like, memories are shared throughout time, no matter, like, into the future and past, like, for whoever has it. And then I was thinking, like, this guy who we see wake up this boy, Falco. I'm like, is this in the past, and is this Rhina? Yeah. That's immediately what I thought. I'm like, this is boy Rhina, or maybe somebody who will eventually have the same Titan as Rhina.
Sean, I had the same thought, and especially because Gobi looks like Sasha.
Yeah, dude, weird shit.
Which like doesn't really link to whether they're Eldian, like if they're on Marley. But I was just like, what's happening here? Is this like a child Rhina and? Like, are they supposed to be looking like Reiner and Sasha right now?
Yeah,
I'm not
it's a little
sure
bizarre.
If the Sasha thing was intentional, but that's all I could think about when the season started.
Maybe it was intentional because she kills her later. She kills Sasha, so I don't know.
Like the weird thing is, I definitely thought as soon as that moment happened, I was like, oh my God, is this just going to be like the hardest left turn of all time? And like everything that happened before this was all just a dream in this kid's head. And never mind, we're actually in a different place.
Huge slap in the face.
It's just like a war or some shit that's going on. It's just a completely different story. I mean, honestly, I didn't put it past the show. I was like, maybe they're going to actually pull this shit right now. And then I remembered, oh wait, all Eldians are connected and have future and past memories and shit.
It's like they finished season 3 and then one of the writers like watched Twin Peaks.
Right.
Like, we live inside a dream.
Well, I think it actually would have been much more like almost 100% similar to the end of the original Full Metal Alchemist. No spoilers.
Yeah.
Where Edward kind of comes to. Yeah. Yeah, that is spoilers, Brennan. But yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Maybe
I'll bleep myself out.
Yeah. So that was super confusing, and I don't know if like I think that they were playing with us on purpose, because then it's only toward the end of the episode that you see Reiner and Zeke, and they look older. Well, Reiner distinctly looks older, and you're like, oh, so this is the future.
Yeah, super threw me off totally.
Yeah, it was a really cool. Curveball, I gotta say. So, something I wanted to mention in season 2. This is more just like something I found really funny. Is that like I don't remember if she's in season 3. I mean, you guys correct me if you recall. It might have been the first part, but Ymir, who had the Jaw Titan power. Do you remember there's like that scene where they're retreating and Ymir's like running with Krista, and then she leaves Krista and then she goes back and joins Reiner and all those guys, and then we don't see her again after that. And like I think the whole thing was that she like joined them to protect Krista or something, and we don't know exactly why or like what exactly happened. But it turns out, or we get the answer, I mean, this season, which is that she volunteered to just give them their Titan back. Which they actually say, Galliard actually says when talking with Reiner, because Reiner asks, oh, have you seen Marcel's memories, who is Galliard's brother? And he says like, I haven't, but I learned what I needed to from my predecessor, Ymir, an ironically grand name for such a pitiful woman. And then he says, she basically volunteered to give my brother's jaws back. And then I think they like flash back and they kind of show her chained up. But one thing that kind of made me laugh was that it was almost like if this was a real show, like live action. It was almost like the actor who played Amir got like Me Too'd or something and got canceled, and they just like had to write her out of the show. Yeah. So it's like because you never see her, she just runs off with Reiner, and then just an off-screen death.
It's
and like she was kind of important, right, at a time in Attack on Titan. So it's really funny that it's just like, yeah, she's dead now.
Dude, in that season, she was like one of the main 3 characters.
Yeah, in season 2, yeah. Yeah, because season 2, we talked about had that weird shift where it was like Eren, Mikasa, and Armin were not the main characters for like half the season. The main characters were Rhaina, Krista, and Ymir, and I guess Bertold.
Dylan, that reminds me of the final season of House of Cards, where they're like, hey, I know you spent 4 or 5 seasons getting to know Kevin Spacey, but he's assassinated off air.
Right.
So, sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway,
man.
so I thought it was pretty dumb, dude.
Dude, but like, you bet your fucking ass we're going to see a flashback to that in the next half of the season, right?
Are you sure?
Well, we did see a flashback. It was just really quick. It was just Ymir chained up.
Yeah, but do you not think there's going to be like a revelation scene for like reasoning behind that? I don't know, man. It truly depends on if she's important or not. Like,
I really don't think so. It just felt weird, man. Because like, okay, so like watching the show, like I'm doing mental gymnastics trying to remember everything that's happened up until now. Like I did, like, sure, I watched the Chronicle film or whatever that recapped everything, and then I watched like 2 different recaps, and I read a bunch of shit, like trying and hoping and praying not to get spoiled somehow by accident. But like, so as soon as she showed up again, I was like, oh yeah, what the fuck was her motivation? Why did she just like leave Krista and run away again? Oh, I guess it doesn't matter. She's just fucking dead now. Like, all right, fine, great. One less thing not to worry about remembering. She just, fed herself to the enemy, and that's it.
Yeah, I believe.
The
I mean, I don't know if they spell it out, or if I surmise that it was just kind of like she went to protect Krista. Like she just said, "All right, stop chasing these guys because they were retreating or whatever." No, just give my jaw tighten.
Guys, like I'm kind of fine. I'm fine to not get the details behind her like decision, but when has the show ever stopped at taking the opportunity to show us like what's going on inside somebody's mind for 15 minutes? Like, I feel like they have to just show her thought process.
I think
like,
it's too
this
late,
is why I
dude.
did it.
I think there's bigger fires to put out at this point. It's like we need to figure out what's going on in Aaron's head.
Right.
Brandon, like, I'm not going to say you're wrong, but also we got flashbacks to events before season 1 in this season, right? Like, there's always time for a good flashback.
Yeah.
In this show,
I know,
specifically.
but that was just for context, right? Because we get so much time with Reiner and everybody else, and we've got to see this like punished Reiner, like see his struggle and how he's not all that different from Eren. Like that's part of the big thesis of the show is that everybody's acting out of like because they don't really have any other choice. Or at least it seems that way to them.
Literally all we need is a scene with Krista when she's in the same city as the new quadruped Titan or whatever,
No, Jaw Titan, yeah.
Oh, sorry, Jaw Titan.
Yeah.
It's literally all we need, and then we'll get that flashback, I think.
Yeah.
It might happen.
Yeah. Agreed. Another funny thing
we also see very little Krista, too. There's, like, she appears in, like, one scene when she's, like, at the head of like this meeting or whatever.
Yeah, that was something I actually thought is pretty cool about Attack on Titan, which it was it's that characters serve the purposes that they need to, and if they're
also
not
she's
needed,
pumping out babies now for no reason.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not for no reason.
Well, not for no
like
reason.
They make a very small deal about it.
But it's like I like that characters serve the plot, and it's not like, oh, we need something for Krista to do. No, she's just a secondary character now for a bit.
Yeah, it is cool.
Like I like that. Like the plot really right now is at the center of everything, and I don't know. There's no shoehorning of characters in.
Right.
It's like, hey, now Flock matters. The guy who thinks Eren is the savior or whatever. Like, remember that guy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now he matters. Because he was the guy. Which I looked up because I was like, I think this guy's been in it before. He was the guy who saved Erwin at the end of season 3. Who was give him the Titan. And he was also earlier, he was a new recruit, I think at the beginning of season 3, and he said like he got into a fight with Eren before being Like, I don't remember what about.
Like, he was in that whole, like, scene with the death charge and all that. And,
yeah, he was in that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's, like, interesting the way... I like the way they make characters, kind of not... Like, fade away, if they're not needed in the main story. It is really interesting, what's happening with Historia, and that was one of the things I'm wondering about what will happen in the next season, because that Historia has to come back into the story. Also, I keep using Historia and Krista interchangeably.
Same.
For anyone who doesn't remember, that they are the same person. Yeah. To any of our listeners. So, I mean, well, of course, I expect we'll see Historia play a more significant role in the second half of season 4, because they need her. Yeah, as you said, Brendan, they need her. She has to pump out heirs, and she, I think, is still going to be slated under Zeke's plan to be take the Beast Titan and keep passing it on and being the Titan of royal blood who can.
So can we talk about Zeke and Zeke's plan for a minute?
Sure.
There's a lot to say there.
Go ahead. What you got, baby?
How did you feel about his backstory and the fact that we got this whole sort of insight into his motivations? Like, I thought they were pretty good and pretty interesting, actually. Cool. Yeah, it's like it's a classic a rug pull, a classic Attack on Titan throwing you a curveball, quite literally, because it turns out he didn't really like betray his parents out of a love for his country. It was given to him as a task by someone else who is trying to preserve their species, essentially.
Right.
I wouldn't necessarily call it a task. Like, I think that guy
he
was looking out for his best
him.
interest. He was just like, he didn't want
That's
him
like
to
he was
die.
his true father figure in the first place.
Tom Saver, I think his name is.
Yeah, the Beast Titan before him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool, I thought. But also this, like, euthanasia plan is also, like, it's a bit bizarre when you think about it. It's just like, hey, let's all just lay down and die. Like, that kind of ties into, like, my qualm. It's not really a qualm, I guess, but it's just this, the show being at odds with itself, because, we've seen Eren this whole time, for the last 3 seasons. Like, his fundamental driving force is that he refuses to lay down and die, right? Like, he refuses to do anything. Like, his whole his mantra is fight, 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 right? Like, to the bitter end. And then we see him colluding with Zeke and all this for this euthanasia plan, which is essentially for the Eldians to just kind of, peter off and quietly die, which is, like, fundamentally opposed to everything we've seen so far from him. So it's like, it's obvious that, okay, he's using Zeke, and this probably isn't the ultimate plan. But the way he's acted and some of the things he's done, especially in the latter half of the season, we find out, it's like, oh, like, so what is he really trying to do? Because I'm waiting for the turnaround, and I guess it'll come at the very, very end. We're gonna get some big reveal that he's been martyring himself and trying to protect everybody by being I don't know, I guess the sacrifice of some sort to let his master plan come to fruition. But it's just weird. It's just weird to see him act so out of character and not really have any, like, solid idea of what he's trying to do.
It's frankly the stupidest plan ever.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent to, oh, like, these people want to kill us, let's all just shoot ourselves in the head first. So only I kill me. Like,
yeah.
What's going on? It has to. I feel like it just, frankly, obviously, it's not going to be what happens, right? Like, we all know that this plan is not going to come to fruition for either good reasons or bad reasons. But, like, is it not going to come to fruition because the plan is stopped, or because it's actually not Eren's plan, or because it's actually not Zeke's plan? Like, One of those three things is going to be true. And
right. Yeah.
the first one, if it only doesn't happen because the plan is just stopped because they're attacked or something, like, then it's stupid. The only redeeming factor is if Eren has a secret evil plan or if Zeke does, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
That's kind of cool, right? Like, you kind of don't know what everyone's true motivations are at this point, right? Like, really keeps you guessing. Like, we know that Zeke can't be trusted, and it's like, can Zeke even be trusted in regards to, like, can Eren trust him, really? And can Zeke trust Eren? And, you know, even, like, the Jaegerists, for example, I don't think... they don't know what Zeke and Eren's plan is. They don't know that the plan is to euthanize them. They think that they're going to use Eren's power to, like, take over, right?
Yeah.
That's what they think is going to happen. So they're following him, and they don't know.
And see, that's the funny thing is, like, okay, so, like, what is the other option? So, okay, so right now it's laid out, like, Zeke's plan is supposedly being aided by Eren, and it's going to come to fruition. That's their goal, right? But we know as, you know, like, viewers that that's not going to happen and that it's going to be something else. So what is the option for something else? And, like, the option for something else is laid out as, like, equally stupid, which is, like, Titan dominance, like this intense nationalistic kind of thing that the Jaegerists have going, where it's like, oh, we need to reestablish the empire. It's like a complete 180. It's like, oh, we've been oppressed, now we're going to be the oppressors kind of thing. So it's like, if that's the actual answer, and if that's the final ending of the show, like, where does that leave us? Is that a good ending?
Yeah.
Is it too simple? Is it too dumb? I think the show's acknowledging that point of view as, like, too simplistic and dumb, and that there is this huge shade of gray in between that we've seen from all these other, like, characters' perspectives and everybody's, you know, fundamental, like, source of pain. Like, everybody has a pain that is somewhat justified because of, you know, the circumstances they've faced, whether it's like, you know, Eldian oppression in Marley, or if it's the people on Paradise who have been, you know, treated like livestock. So it's like, I don't know what the real answer is, and I feel like no matter what it is, it might be dumb, but that might be the point, that there's only dumb answers only.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I think maybe the Jaegerists think that that's the plan. You know, establish a new empire. But initially, the plan on paper that Zeke pitched, not to Eren, but to, like, through Yelena, and with the help of that country that's pretty much Japan, but they're not calling it Japan.
Right. Yeah.
Lady Azumabitu's, like, country, which is that, like, let's use the threat of the rumbling, which is just the Titan utilizing the colossal Titans in the walls as a defense. Like, let's use that as our way of catching up with the rest of the world, right? Like, I think that is one of the plans, or that was maybe the initial plan that was pitched, like that Yelena pitched.
Yeah, for sure.
Nothing to do with euthanization on one extreme, and nothing to do with necessarily Eldia literally becoming an empire that takes over other countries again, or something like that, or tries to destroy Marley. I'm not sure if it's any of those extremes, but it could be any, like, I mean, the ending that we're racing towards, yeah, it could be one of those three, but it will probably be none of those three. It's going to be something different that we don't expect, I hope.
Yeah, like, what it just seems like is, or like what the show has been indirectly telling us this whole time, is that Eren feels like he's out of options. Like, he is out of time and out of options, and, like, everything, like, the world outside is closing in on Paradise, and the people in Paradise are making, like, all the wrong decisions and are being manipulated by all these outside forces, and he doesn't have any other choice except to pick a route and then go with it, and then just deal with the consequences, whatever that is. But the fact that we don't know what route it is yet is, like, I mean, I guess you could say it's a bit of suspense, and, in the way that the show has done this entire time. But it's also like, damn, I wish I just knew what your plan was at this stage. Like, shit.
Right.
That's the mystery, man.
Yeah, I suppose.
we can't know. If we know now, then it's like, oh, so that's the plan.
Yeah, but what also worries me is that there's not going to be enough time to see how everything plays out, and it's going to be kind of a dissatisfying ending, but then the show's going to be like, but aren't all the endings dissatisfying anyways?
I don't know, though, because we made a huge leap in 16 episodes, like the amount of payoff and answers we got. So, I mean, we don't know how long part 2 will be, but I think another 16 episodes could do it.
Definitely excited to see. I want to know what happens.
Mm-hmm. So just kind of jumping back a little, we have, like you mentioned, Aaron feels like he's out of options, and that takes us to, we spend the first, really, what is it, like the first 6 or 7 episodes, like all on the Marleyan Island, Liberio, or something, like one of the islands that is part of, or like one of the lands that's part of Marley's kingdom, and yeah, like as we see, Aaron feels out of options in terms of, Aaron feels like we need to make a move against Marley sooner or later, and that leaves Aaron to just do something that feels totally out of character, right? Which is like he just turns into a Titan and kills like tons of people. There's even like
that's crazy.
Yeah, we don't see any familiar character until like Aaron in episode 3, and then the rest of the characters we know only pop up in I think episode 6, right? And where we see Mikasa, and Mikasa says like, "Please, Aaron, come home." And then she says, like, do you understand what you've done? Like, you've killed so many civilians, so many innocent people, so many kids. Like, there's no taking this back.
It's like, at that point, you realize it was never part of the plan to begin with. Because as soon as he pops off, I'm thinking, like, oh my god, the assault has begun. And then, like, you see the troopers fly in on their ODMs, and you're like... But you don't even realize that it's being forced. You think it's all according to plan.
Right,
and it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, especially when like Levi and Mikasa are like tearing shit up, and it seems like they're a perfect team with Aaron.
Yeah,
but then no, suddenly it was all just impromptu.
Yeah, I honestly really like that whole scene. To be honest, that big fight in the dark, it was gruesome and awful.
No real usage of blades either. They all just had their weird gun things or missile things.
They had these like little rockets and pistols and shit, and people are getting shot. Also, one thing that I really liked about the vibe of this whole season is, like, I've mentioned in our previous podcast how much I love some of the endings of the show, like the ending themes of the show. And the opening theme for this season, first of all, was done by Shinsei Kamate-chan, which is the band that did that weird, creepy song that they put over top of the, like...
One ending?
That one ending with all the Titan lore and stuff that I love so much. Yeah. So they did the song for this, and also the visuals. Like, I think it really kind of nailed... at least what I thought the vibe of this show was for the first half, where it's just like, okay, there's no more triumphant opening. There's no more like glory or like any kind of good vibes behind it. It's all just like destruction and violence and like the horrors of war and like the sacrifices that people make in making the decision to go to war, and like, the fact that like there are losers on both sides and people who don't have anything to do with the conflict who get like roped into it. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I think, Brennan, over these last years of watching Attack on Titan, you've really made me appreciate the opening and closing of Attack on Titan and the choices they make. And it's definitely made me focus on it more and think about it. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. There's nothing for me to add. I just want to say that I just love the shot of those soldiers all marching, and they're like all marching in order, and they all have like the same face. It's just like
Oh
like a
yeah, and
nondescript
their
photo.
like heads are turned and they're all looking in one direction.
Yeah, I just like love that shot so much.
Yeah, same. Also the
Yeah.
colorful explosions and shit,
Hmm.
and like the rubble with like hands and body parts sticking out of it.
Right.
And the very last shot of like the wave of crystallized titans, it just like crash zooms into Aaron's face. It's really cool, man. I really love that whole sequence.
Yeah, yeah. What else should we talk about? Hey, there's a black character.
Oh
Finally,
yeah,
finally some
There-
diversity.
There is. I barely
Yeah.
remember
yeah,
that.
dude.
Anya
One of the
Capone.
Marleyan captives.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh
Yeah.
man.
That's
Yeah,
funny because like
it's
it's
developed.
literally it's literally my first note for episode 9. It's just hey, a black character. I
Yeah.
was like, hey, not
Uh,
everyone is white in this show. Finally,
As soon as I think it was Sasha who asked him, was like, "Hey, why are you like this? Why do you look different?" I was like, "Oh no!" And then he was like, "Well, there are different people all over the world, and it's kind
Right.
of nice." And I was like,
Right.
"Oh, phew, okay."
that was really cool. Like, he says, yeah, he said, oh yeah, and like my creator made me this way, and same way they made you do this, and then they're like, whoa, like
Yeah.
someone made us, and he's like,
They're
yeah.
kind of dumbstruck.
It's like,
yeah,
and he's like, yeah, like God, or I mean, some people don't believe in God, but like you get to believe whatever you want. It was like, oh, like I was like, this is really interesting.
yeah. It's like very, very cool to see that fresh idea being put on
Yeah,
them. That like
just being
people have
introduced
different
to people.
views. Yeah,
I guess we didn't talk. I mean, it's hinted on in season 3, but this show kind of shows how it's very like. I mean, I haven't seen this movie, but spoilers for The Village by M. Night Shyamalan. It's just like, our characters on Prairie Island, they're living in like the late 1800s in terms of technology. Meanwhile,
Right.
everyone else is in like 1920, baby. We
Yeah,
got
exactly.
trains, we got trench warfare.
Right.
We got blimps now. First flying machine was just invented, which I think Lady Asmavitu calls like a flying boat.
right.
And
yeah.
it's covered.
And
We
it
don't
looks-
actually see it, but I mean, I'm guessing it's a plane.
It scares the shit out of Hanji.
Yeah, so it's like, wow, this is like it's like interesting that they're in different times in terms of technology, and that was part of the whole rumbling thing. Is that parody needs to catch up with the rest of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
In
Yeah.
Right.
order to survive, and they can only use like I like that whole like the Age of Titans is coming to an end.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
almost
It's
like
cool
how
to see,
now
like-
it's like if you're physically strong, like I'm talking about in today's light, it doesn't matter, dude. I got a gun. Like you're not stronger than a
Yeah.
gun.
Yeah, it's true.
I thought you said a gut. I thought you were just like bragging about.
Yeah.
I got a
So
gut,
you can
dude.
punch
Nobody
me all
needs
I
you
got
to
a
want.
gun,
It'll
bro.
bounce right off.
Yeah, all you want.
Guys, I'm rewatching the opening title sequence of the show, the 4th season one. I love these colors, the rainbow explosions and stuff.
Yeah,
My
it's really
only
nice.
gripe is that at the beginning, it shows like some guy using a flamethrower or something, and it repeats the shot like 4 times. It's very cheesy. I don't know if you guys remember it,
Oh,
but then
I
the rest of it is
remember.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, when the first battle during the nighttime in the season ends, and they're all of them are like blimp going home or whatever, the kids come in, they kill Sasha or whatever. When I was seeing our main cast of characters like Jean and like Connie and everybody together, I was just so disappointed in how generic they made every single character look in this season. Like every season in the show, we've been getting closer and closer towards just like taking the life out of how unique these characters looked in season 1. Like, do you guys feel the same way? Like, look at Mikasa.
Right.
I
Yeah,
can't
I
say
get-
I
I get-
like their updated designs necessarily, but I do love how well everything moves and how like absolutely seamless some of the 3D stuff is compared to like every season we've seen so far. Like Mappa was the best decision possible for especially like the action shots in this show, I think. But yeah, I do agree that like yeah, some of those updated designs did fall a bit flat. But yeah, dude, like as soon as I saw like even in that like opening fight when we're looking at like the Jaw Titan and stuff, and what's his name, the Beast Titan, they're like destroying that fort. I was like, wow, this is such a step up from like the janky like 2001 like gross CG Bell that we saw in the first couple seasons.
Oh yeah.
Or
Right.
even the colossal Titan in the last season. Like when we're seeing him like burn Armin to death and shit, it looks so bad when Armin's like approaching his arm and stuff. It's like the grossest 3D, and that's just been remedied. So like, you know, it's balanced out in certain ways.
I guess, but like, yeah, like 3D is less important to me than just like, I don't know, the silhouette of like Eren, Armin, and Mikasa. Like when I'm looking at Mikasa, this character I'm supposed to care about, and like with each season, progressively she just looks more and more generic. It's like disheartening, dude. Like I used to like Jean and Connie, and now the art style is figuratively telling me to not care about them. Like Sasha. Sasha visually did not exist, and so then when she died, I did not care. You know, it's kind of crazy to me in that scene.
Yeah, everything is a bit uniform.
Yeah,
And that definitely lends it to that. Like, I also didn't really care when Sasha died, unfortunately. I know people are probably screaming and punching their computers right now, but like, dude, I mean, I love Sasha as a character, but like, again, when we saw her in action, it took a second. I was like, oh, this is Sasha. She just like is hardened by all the bullshit she saw, so she's not really Sasha anymore. So then when she gets shot, first of all, you know someone's gonna die as soon as Gabby gets the zip line up. It's like, okay, so what's the roulette? Let's spin the barrel of this gun and see who dies. And it's Sasha, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess it wasn't Connie. So or like Jean or something. So you're like, fuck, oh well.
I mean, I think if you're going to kill any of them, I think Sasha would pack the most punch to kill. Like over Connie
definitely, because she's comic relief, right? And it's like, you kill the comic relief. It's like, bro, that's mean. But also, I feel like it would have hurt more if I saw some of the Sasha that I actually liked.
It's funny because you said the characters are uniform, and the characters have literally been in uniform since episode 1. Like, all they ever had to focus on was making the head look interesting for every character, and they managed to pretty much do that for 3 seasons. But then, it's weird to see it now. That might be like an effect of just like anime in general and manga in general, where like the more grown up a character gets, the less and less their character looks interesting, because anime favors like the teenage look with the bigger eyes, with the like fancier hair, and in almost any anime, when a character grows up, their style visually becomes less interesting.
Right, and like every other features, become way less distinct because they're so much smaller.
Exactly.
And I mean, like, that's like all good and well, but like, I do. You know what? For what it's worth, I do think a lot of the environment shots, and like especially during like the combat scenes and things like that, were varied enough throughout the whole season. Like we had the nighttime scene, and then we had like the Middle East war bit, and then we had like flashbacks and flash forwards, and we had a lot of variety. So I was happy it wasn't just brown and green, you know? like the last couple seasons, because it's like season 1 theme brown, season 2 theme green. It's like I'm glad they mixed it up this time, but
I feel that.
The character qualm, I feel that, man.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really actively think about that. I just felt like the animation looked so nice. I was just loving the action, like how smooth everything felt, the way Bren said, and like not janky at all.
Right.
Oh, dude, that was great.
Yeah, we did get like not very much of like the classic Attack on Titan action that like was from the first 2 seasons. You know, like we didn't really get much of that. We got like other action. Like obviously, I'm not saying that they like skimped on the animation or anything.
Right.
But definitely not the same kind of action that we used to get before. We
didn't get that tracking shot, the classic tracking shot, following one person through a bunch of buildings as they fly along, kind of.
Yeah, there was like super short snippets of that, but nothing crazy.
Were
Yeah.
you guys expecting the Warhammer Titan to be a bigger deal than it was? Because
Is this
I
the
was
one
scared.
that Aaron eats?
yeah,
Uh, it was a
'Cause, like,
pretty
they,
big
like,
deal,
took-
though.
well, like they talked about it, like, oh yeah, the Tiber family, they actually, helped. Like that's not why they're treated like the rest of us Eldians, and they control the Warhammer Titan. And it was like it was a cool looking Titan, and the abilities were cool. But then it was just like, oh,
It didn't last very long.
and
See, that's the
now
thing.
it's dead.
I think for me it did serve the purpose because they talked it up so much, and I was like, oh fuck, this thing's gonna be strong. And when it showed up, I was scared because I was like, okay, so who's this thing gonna kill? And then like, yeah, they beat it. But then I was also like, oh fuck, I'm so glad they beat it, and now we can just move on with the story.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was cool, like design wise and like difficulty to beat, and then like
Yeah,
how it
for
has
sure.
that like weird little ball sack ovary type thing like hiding in the ground that Aaron needs to
Right,
find.
yeah.
We're talking about the same Titan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
one. Okay,
That's the one.
just making sure.
Ovary Titan.
Yeah, ovary Titan. Cool thing, very video gamey. I feel like, what's the trick? The trick is here. It's hidden underground, and then. Hey, great setup for using the Jaw Titan or whatever to just completely smash it and drink the blood.
yeah,
Yeah, that was
that's pretty
gross.
awesome.
That was hardcore.
What
I
did you
love
guys?
that.
What did you guys think of Willie Tiber kind of telling us the quote unquote true history of the Eldians, like what happened really, which is that the king actually planned King Fritz. He planned his own like demise. Like he created this folk hero Helos with the help of the Tiber family that banished the Eldians to this island, whereas he really just took as many Eldians as he could to parody and built the walls as kind of like a safe haven to rid the world of like the fear of Eldia. What do you guys think about that?
It was kind of bizarre, to be honest, to like a certain degree, because like obviously that speech before it happens, it's kind of sold to you in a different way, and then he kind of turns it around mid speech, and they hit you with something you're not expecting. But because of that, it's like I feel like, yeah, it's just it's weird setup because you're expecting something completely different out of this guy, and you're not entirely sure what his motivations are. Also, the fact that he's an Eldian leading this nation that is like actively oppressing Eldians is confusing, because it's like, okay, so it's one thing if you don't want your species to go out of control and destroy the world, and you are secretly colluding with the government or the old government of Paradis to protect the world at large. That's one thing, but it's also, so why do you have ghettos and allow your people to be slaughtered mercilessly, at the hands of Marlians? Like what? Like why? I don't understand.
Yeah, I think I think that was just like an unintended byproduct of what would happen, because I think he said, and I'm not saying I disagree with you. It's like it's weird for sure, but he said, yeah, he like the king felt guilty, so he took as many Eldians as he could with like tens of millions of colossal Titans to make the walls, and then I guess we remember before that he wiped the memories of all of them, which is why they didn't know about all that stuff.
Right.
And,
Yeah, that's
I mean,
dumb.
like, it just lost some impact, because, like, how
yeah,
we were wondering ourselves in the last podcast, like, who is behind Marley? Like, who is at the top of the food chain in Marley, and like, what are their motivations? And
I'm not
felt
sure
like
if it's the Tibers though. I think they're just like an influential
figureheads,
family.
right? But like, they were also, I mean, I don't know, it might have just been the translation of the sub or something, or like me misreading it. But to me, it felt like, oh, these guys are actually the people who get the final say in what, what decisions that Marley makes as a country. And I'm like, oh, like, I thought, like, it felt like there was so much more potential there for something less wishy-washy, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just how it felt to me, anyways.
Yeah, and then but part of that, I think it was like, I mean, I don't know. That's interesting because I've never really thought about who leads Marley because we've never really seen that.
Right.
Because I didn't necessarily take the Tybers as a leader, but just like an influential family or whatever, or like some kind of like ambassadors, because like it seems like they have better relationships with other countries than Marley itself does.
Yeah,
actually,
for sure.
they allude to that because like Marley's been at war with like the Middle East country, whereas they go see Willie Tiber at that event. They're like, "Hey, Willie, how's it going, man?"
Yeah,
So
exactly.
like he's just like a dude that everyone likes or something. But yeah, I
Right.
took
And like
that
the
as
Marley
kind of
in
like,
general like fucks up the function by like, referring to everyone in a disrespectful way, being like, "Oh, since we've crushed your countries,"
Yeah.
da, 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 da. And
Yeah.
then they're all giving him like disapproving glances or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, Dylan, you were asking what I thought about like the king like going back to Paradise and building these walls with the like giant titans and stuff. Like, I almost had no thoughts. Like as soon as the end of season 1 happened and we saw the wall crumble a bit and the big like colossal titan's face be behind it, like I'm just waiting for an answer. And then we got this answer, which is the king going over there and building the walls with the giant titans. And meanwhile, while I'm hearing this, I'm just nodding my head like, yes, and then as soon as the story's over, I'm like, next, please, like next answer.
Right.
I'm just waiting,
Right.
next, and I'm just taking it all at face value.
Right.
I'm just assuming
Right.
everything everybody says is exactly what they mean, and that we're rushing towards the end.
Yeah.
And that it makes sense and it falls
Yeah.
into place with everything
Yeah.
that it implies from the
Yeah.
past. Like
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
want to, man. I want to do that. But like sometimes it bugs me.
Yeah.
Yeah, although it did kind of show us why, like, for example, Rod Rice or whatever wanted, like, it's like why keeping the people of Parody ignorant and all, which is that like they're all bound, all those with royal bloods. I think if they inherit the founding titan, they're all bound by that first king's
Pacifism.
they're bound by his bond of pacifism, like keeping peace, and part of that is, or the crux of that really is remaining within the walls for as long as possible, because like that's what Willie says, like he just wants to enjoy his walled paradise free from strife, and he just like wants peace, and if a time comes like where people will invade, he'll accept it. I think he said like he put the Titans there, but he never really planned on like doing something about it. It was more just like but then the funny thing is, so like because Willie says that he's like, so really Eldians, like, they're not the bad guys, but the king is no longer in power. Eren Yeager's taken over, so now we do have to worry. But what's interesting about that is, so that means that, like, if Willie had told everyone this earlier, then they would have never tried to take the founding titan, like what Reiner did like 5 years ago.
Exactly.
So it's almost like he went on stage and was like, "Hey, you didn't have to do that thing, but now
shit's fucked up.
You
so you
do
gotta.
have to do that thing."
Right.
Exactly.
Anyway, that was weird, but maybe it's just like, maybe we just need to accept that as a means to an end or something.
Right.
Just kind of like a weird event that we just have to be like, all right. And like Sean said, it is kind of, now it's like almost in the back of my mind. Like, I'm not actively thinking about that. I just like, I'm scrolling through my notes. And that was like one of the things I was like curious about asking you guys about, like what you thought about it, because I thought it was kind of weird.
Definitely a bit bizarre, but
yeah.
Like I also see how like the purpose of it in the grander scheme of things, because like the king's perspective essentially is similar to like, one side of the moral argument that the show kind of posits, where it's like, oh, like what is the correct course of action? And I guess in the king's perspective, and to a certain degree, the Beast Titan's perspective is like, oh, we should just die. Like we deserve everything that we get, and we should just stop existing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Man,
God, what a dumb plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, the fact that Zeke thinks existence is pain, it's very emo of him.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shouldn't that be like Aaron's mindset? And then Zeke should be like the opposite? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's interesting, yeah, because like Zeke's whole plan, whatever it was, if he's really had this plan the whole time, it's a very, and I guess Aaron's adopted this too, because when Aaron invaded Liberia, it was like he killed a bunch of people, but they're both very like by any means necessary kind of thing, because remember, let's not forget, Zeke killed a lot of parody, like Eldians on parody. Remember when he was playing baseball?
No question. Yep.
And he was just like throwing rocks and shit?
Yeah.
Killed Ervin, bro.
Yeah, dude. But then remember, like, his justification for that was literally just, oh, I set them free from their suffering, and I also, like, set their descendants free from suffering, too, by making sure they don't exist.
Right. Yeah.
Which is bizarre. But, I mean, like, I see the point of view.
Yeah. So, I mean, listeners, if you're listening to this, you already know what happened throughout season 4, part 1. So why don't we, guys, maybe we should talk about where we're left off at the end of season 4? Unless there's some things you guys want to talk about prior to that. But I was thinking
I'm good to move on.
like, let's see where we end up at the end of season 4, part 1. And maybe we can take some guesses about where we're going, or at least things we're wondering about.
Right. So we're about to enter the battle between Rhina and Aaron, most likely, right? On Paradise.
Punished Rhina.
Yeah.
Punished Rhina. Yeah. What are we about to see? Oh yeah, is Zeke not like in the belly of some Titan or chest?
That was so weird, man. What the fuck was that about?
Oh wait,
like, he
so
blew
hold on.
himself up.
Yeah, wait. I just realized before we talk about that, we got to talk about Levi, bro, killing all those Titans. Those were some incredible shots. There's like that shot of him like surrounded by Titans and just like, oh my god, dude, so sick.
Yeah, that was one of the best action sequences for sure.
Yeah, just incredible. Yeah. And then when he's fighting Zeke, there's just this amazing shot where it's like it's showing Zeke in Beast Titan form looking up, and there's all these like things coming down on him, like pieces of like leaves or like tree branches and shit. And then like Levi gets revealed. Oh my god!
Right?
Yeah,
so
which is ridiculous. Like, could you ask for a more OP character ever? Like the thickest plot armor of all time. This is some Jon Snow shit. Like, it's crazy.
Wait, John Wick?
No, I'm talking
John
about
Wick
Jon Snow.
Mixed with Jon Snow.
Yeah, but also sure, John Wick too.
John Wick.
You want to know what I really liked though? It's like this. Okay, so like the first few seasons of Attack on Titan are just like misery porn, right? And like just the worst shit keeps happening, and then you get this like impossible fucking Titan that like no one can beat. He seems so smart and he seems so strong, and like he's just shredding people up left and right. And now he's just terrified. He can't do shit against Levi. He's just like at the mercy of this unstoppable force, and it feels good, man. It feels good as like all the other reveals in this show so far, to see Zeke so helpless and just get shredded every single time by Levi.
Yeah, and part of that, I mean, to at least kind of legitimize, like, Levi's strength in this fight, is that, it was very strategic that they kept Zeke in that tall forest, because I think it prevented him from transforming properly, or if he did transform, he's surrounded by trees. It's like hard for him to move around in there, right? Mm-hmm. Like he would be at his best in like an open area. Like being surrounded by these gigantic trees is perfect for Levi, using ODM gear, being able to fly around, being able to cut branches down and distract him, and also being able to frankly hide wherever he needs to.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that is definitely like part of it.
Yeah, because in that fight with the death charge, like their biggest problem was that he was out in the open and just sending pitches into the village, right? And then Levi had to use the line of Titans as like signposts to get to him in the first place.
Yeah, and even that would only work because they had him distracted. Yeah, with the death charge.
Right.
Like, otherwise, Levi would have never been able to get that close.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so that was pretty sick. Anyway, so yeah, we can say so. At the end of season 4, Levi has captured Zeke and is cutting his legs off and his in his arms like any chance he gets, just so that
That's
he
pretty
can't
crazy.
regenerate and transform.
Yeah.
And he has a thunder spear in his abdomen, which is tied to his neck, so that if he makes any sudden movements, he will die. And of
Which is a
course,
crazy move on Levi's part, because he's sitting in a wagon with his back turned to the sky.
yeah.
Like, he could just die in an instant.
And it literally does backfire exactly in the way that you're describing.
Yeah.
But there's no way Levi's dead, bro. Unless
no.
unless he gets
No.
canceled, Ymir style.
Right.
No,
I don't think-
no. That's
yeah.
like canceling Eren
Yeah.
or Mikasa or
Yeah.
something. Like,
Yeah.
not happening.
So like, we know Levi's still alive. He's probably injured and somewhere. I don't know. He's probably gonna be like unconscious or something when we find him next.
right.
Zeke is on the verge of death, and something actually really interesting happens before that Titan comes and puts like rips open her abdomen and puts him in. Is he says like, "Am I dying?" And then he has like a glimpse, like a vision of like a little blonde girl. And I was like,
Wait, sorry, who says this again?
Zeke.
Okay, right.
Yeah, he's like, "Am I dying?" And then there's like
like,
a
oh,
quick
it's so cold.
Yeah, there's like a quick shot of this like blonde girl who's like facing the other way and like starts to turn around or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like a really quick shot. So wonder what that's about.
What if it's a future memory of the next person to get the Beast Titan ability?
Yeah, could be. Yeah, it could be.
Maybe.
Maybe
But
it's not even a little girl. Maybe it's Historia. No, I don't think. I think it's a child. I'm pretty sure it's a child.
Like,
yeah, it could
why-
be Historia's child or something.
The most confusing thing to me, though, was like why that Titan showed up and like taunted Zeke into itself. Like,
Tauntaun.
what the fuck?
That's a Star
Like,
Wars reference to anyone who's wondering.
It's so bizarre.
Right.
Like,
I didn't even get that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, we do know that Zeke is able to command Titans, right? So,
oh, true. Yeah.
I guess.
Oh, yeah, and I guess we did get that answer too, where it's like, how did Connie's mom become a Titan? If
Oh,
like all
yeah.
the other
Yeah,
Titans
we
are
did.
just
Finally
Like,
figured
you know,
that out.
because
Spinal
we
fluid.
previously
yeah.
thought that they were just like Eldian people who've been exiled from Marley as punishment and just left to roam. But then also there's the whole thing with the nerve gas that comes out of
Like, it
Zeke's
was
body.
even back then. It was extremely obvious that everybody in that village had been turned into Titans. We just didn't know how. And
Yeah.
now we know that it's magic sauce, essentially. Like,
Yeah.
Spinal fluid.
it's just whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, they needed to be. Could have been Zeke's
Yeah.
spit. Could have been his blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was
Yeah.
still like interesting to see in that like the fortress
Like,
battle thing when they're
yeah.
dropping these paratroopers and then he just screams at them and they all turn into Titans and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, dude. Pretty interesting.
Um,
and then once you go Titan, you're just a Titan forever. And yeah.
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 You
Yeah.
eat a special Titan or whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so that's where Zeke is. That's where Levi is. So I wonder, that looked like a pure Titan, by the way, right? Like, it didn't look like a special Titan, so...
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it
just
was a
like a dumb-
regular
Yeah, and
Titan.
there shouldn't be any other
dum-dum.
special Titans, given that, like, we know there's 9, and we know who
We've
they
seen
are
them
now.
all now.
Yeah. So, yeah, maybe it's like some kind of kangaroo shit. Like, he'll get better there.
This
Zeke's alive.
regenerates. Yeah.
And we have Flock, who's like the lead Jaegerist with Hanji as a hostage, and they're going to meet Zeke in the forest or whatever, but then they see the explosion caused by Zeke pulling the pin of the Thunder Spear.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so they're heading there to investigate. So we can expect a confrontation with Levi and potentially Zeke, unless Zeke runs off. We don't really know yet. And then we have Peak, who has infiltrated
Oh yeah.
the army along with Galliard, and they have now found a way. They smoked Eren out pretty much. They got him to transform so that the reinforcements can find him, and boom, blimps coming in for the final battle. And what else is there? I guess Mikasa and Armin are like in a prison somewhere or something with Connie. Oh yeah, right.
Right.
So Yelena, we didn't really talk about Yelena. So Yelena, Zeke's right-hand woman, she's a pretty
Yeah.
cool character.
For
like
sure.
I liked the further explanation in lore, just even that Marley has conquered other lands like
Right.
Yelena's and Anya Capone's land, and there's kind of
Like they're
within
colonizers.
within the army there are people who are not Marleyan at all, and
Right,
of course,
they
yeah.
want their demise, and those Yelena and Anya Capone are two of those people who now
Right.
follow Zeke. I wonder if they know. Well, I mean, we don't know. I don't think Anya Capone does, but like, I don't know if Yelena knows the extent of Zeke's plans, right? Like, we don't know fully. I guess she'd be okay with the euthanization because it's not her people anyway, and it's like whatever it takes to bring down Marley, I guess, is what she's cool with. But she explains the. Oh no! Wait, no, she does know the plan because she tells them. She tells Aaron, or she tells Mikasa and Armin cries because he thinks it's so beautiful, which is really interesting. Because I guess like Armin gets it, because like Armin wants peace, and
I took
he
that as
understands
completely
the suffering.
like
What?
as a ruse. I thought that was like a complete ruse. Like he's reacting to something else, or he's got some like plan up his sleeve.
I'm not sure if Armin agrees with it, but I think Armin might think that the sentiment is beautiful, like trying to end the suffering of the people. Like Armin might not want to do it, but maybe he's also just appreciates that Zeke's not just an asshole.
See, what makes me wonder though is like, okay, so Armin already expressed to like, Connie and the original scouts that we knew and loved so well, that like, oh, Aaron is definitely acting weird because he's up to something. And remember what, like, when they're all in the jail cell, he's like reiterating some of the things that he said, and he's like, this is weird because why would he say that, and da da da. So like, if he is trying to figure out what Aaron is up to, he's probably also trying to like pull a chess move on Yelena in some way to like get them out. Because like Armin is top schemer, dude. Like he is making all the plans that everybody lives and dies by. So like his role right now in this situation where they're being like, imprisoned essentially, and they're kind of at the will of these people. My assumption was that his sort of reaction to Yelena's idea is probably to like lure her in to some degree, or like get them to think, oh, like we're on your side until they have a chance to escape, kind of thing.
Yeah, could very well be. It's super hard to say right now.
Yeah, it's definitely up in the air. We don't have enough information, but I didn't think, like, I thought it would be too weird for it to be genuine,
Yeah, so I think it's fair to say that, leading in to the second part, there are so many characters who all have different goals, and like some of which align with each other and to some degree, but like not 100%, right? Like, seems like the Jaegerists follow Aaron, but they probably don't know the extent of this like euthanization plan, I'm guessing. We don't know if Aaron and Zeke are really on the same page, and we can pretty much guess that they're probably not. Like, Aaron probably has something up his sleeve. Also, there's that whole, like, my dog Skip moment, fucking where Aaron's, like, telling Mikasa and Armin that he hates them, which, like, I really took as, like, okay, he's just, like, trying to protect them. He's trying to push them away for some reason so that he can, like, go off and do his thing, and like they won't get in the way, and or he won't be encumbered by worrying about them. Like that's what I took that as. It's
very clear. It's so clear that that's just what he's doing, right?
Yeah.
But the purpose of that is to like confuse you and be like, is Aaron bad now? Like it's when it's
We're gonna get a scene in the next half of the season where Armin's like, Mikasa, did you notice Aaron's eyebrow moving 3 times? And she's gonna be like, what? He's like, yeah, we brought up this code that if he's ever has to lie to us, he's going to move his eyebrow.
That's literally it. Dude.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Like,
so
okay,
funny.
in the next 16 episodes or whatever number it is, all the characters need to realize their full potential. Self-actualization of everybody, okay? Levi needs to do something incredibly badass that's probably going to get him killed. Mikasa needs to save Aaron. I feel like she might be the only person who actually survives and goes to rule Japan or whatever the fuck. Armin is, yeah, obviously he's going to come up with the best plan of the day and like save everybody. And by save everybody, I mean just like accomplish one tiny thing, because like things are not going to go well for everybody. Connie and Jean are going to die. Okay, they're going to die swiftly. They're probably going to die just from fucking Rhina landing down on the ground from his plane. You know. Yeah, shit's going to go south.
Yeah, for sure.
That's like really funny how you named off those things really quickly. But yeah, I think a lot of them are pretty accurate. I think like
I agree completely. Like that's probably how it's gonna go.
We do have to mention that we at Shonen Chumps have a death fetish, as one fan pointed out to us once.
Of course,
yeah, that we need to see someone die. And
I love a good death.
That fan's comment has made me rethink like all media I consume.
I know. Shout out to them though. To be honest.
It had to do with was it My Hero Academia? Somebody's brother? Yeah. The guy's brother not dying, just being like critically injured. They're like, what, this has like the same effect pretty much. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's like, why do we need people to die? I guess we don't. Maybe it's just consequences for people's actions. I don't know.
I guess we don't. But it's also like the nature of the show, right? It's like it loves to kill people you love to get that sort of reaction out of you. Like, ouch, the show is so brutal. That's been like the MO since day one is like, ouch, the show is so brutal.
But it's never killed a biggie. You know, the closest thing it's killed is Erwin, right?
Yeah, like it does kill, quote unquote, kill people, but then they come back. Right. It's like Eren dies, he gets eaten, and then Armin dies, he gets roasted, but then
Hanji. Here we are. You think Hanji dies for a little bit, and then she
comes back with an eye patch.
Oh, you know what was really stupid? Something to mention. This whole Mikasa is being controlled by her DNA. Dumb. Like.
Yeah.
Dude,
like, I'll actually say that. Like when Eren's talking to them and talking like, oh, Armin, you're being controlled because, you know, you have Barefold, like, as part of you, and, like, that's why you go visit Annie. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, that's cool. Like, you consumed, like, another being, and, like, these Titan memories, they live on through you, and you know Barefold's memories, so it makes sense that you would have some kind of attachment to Annie. Also, whoa, we get to see Annie again, which we haven't talked about.
That's also the biggest Chekhov's gun of all time.
Yeah.
Like, she's just ready to pop now in season 3.
Yeah.
She's going to bust out again. We're going to get female Titan.
But, like,
2.
it was stupid that, like, I really didn't like that whole Mikasa being controlled thing.
Yeah, that was pretty dumb.
I was like, bleh.
I mean, like, it's interesting to see, like, okay, they're trying to build up the lore of, like, the Ackerman family and, like, why they're so good at what they do. It's, like, trying to give some reasoning behind why...
They have been talking about it for a long time.
Levi and Mikasa are so sick. Like, it's, like, I wonder, like, do they just feel like they need to justify it? Like, there should be a reason why these two characters are, like, beyond bonkers compared to everybody else? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. That's pretty dumb. I hope they retcon that shit. I'm sure it'll be like what?
It's very dumb. It's some midichlorian shit. Like, we just do not need to step into territory like that.
Yeah, we didn't.
It's pretty unnecessary. Like, it's enough to just say, oh, they're from the same family. They're just genetically extremely talented at like killing Titans. They just have a knack for it, and then that's it. That's the end of it. It's not like, oh, your muscles reacted because of your bloodline or some shit.
Yeah, you know what? Frankly, it's racist. And I realize that this whole show is, I guess, about race, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you said that last time. You're like, it's just racism.
Oh yeah, right. I did. Yeah. And I'm like, I was talking about how I wanted the show to be about like something very interesting, but it turns out it's just racism. Right. Good God.
Yeah, shit. So that's another thing. So to expect in the next season, the return of Annie.
Yes.
She's been gone since season 1, and I thought this whole time, like I've talked about, like I thought she was being like experimented on because like Armin says it at one point, but I guess that was just to piss off Barefold. But she's just like hanging.
Yeah,
she's like left her in that thing, and I guess they can't break her out of that thing, the crystal.
In stasis.
She's just chilling, like chained up, and what's her name? That guard that we sometimes see is watching her.
The military police girl?
Yeah, the military police girl that has sometimes mattered. So yeah, I'm sure we'll see Annie come back. Actually, one thing I'll say is that when we first see Yelena, she's disguised as a soldier, and I mean,
Yeah.
you can tell the beard is fake,
Right,
and you
it's
can see
so
that she's
dumb.
blonde. So I actually thought, I was like, is this Annie? Because like
Oh,
I was just like, what is going on here?
I thought
Like
it was
I
Armin. I was like, why is
oh
he so
okay,
tall?
right, yeah, I guess maybe like yeah, maybe that's why I figured. Like, and I thought you could tell that it was likely a female. So I was like, is this Annie? Like,
Yeah,
have they turned Annie somehow? Like that's interesting. And that turned
right.
to be a new character. But I will say,
Yeah.
like, just to go back to Yelena, like every character feels necessary. Like new characters, they matter. They don't feel like I don't know. They don't feel unnecessary, which is really cool.
Right.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So other things to look forward to in season 4. Okay, or in the second half. I'm wondering, will Historia's husband matter? Because they allude to the fact that she has a husband now, but they don't really show him. And they say like, oh, she picked her own husband. He was someone she knew as a child, and he used to like throw rocks at her or some shit to like get her attention.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they show Historia just like sitting pregnant on like a veranda, and he's like, "Hey, Historia, why don't you come in for dinner?" or some shit like that. So
Yeah.
I wonder, will the husband matter? Is the husband gonna be somebody?
Yeah, good question. I doubt it, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think
Right.
so either. Like, I honestly, that whole section kind of confused me a little bit. Just because like I was kind of, they didn't make it abundantly clear why Zeke's plan was like a bad plan, kind of, or like it was detrimental to Aaron and his friends. And I guess it's mostly because they just wanted Historia to take on the Titan and shorten her lifespan to 13 years, but also to like spread the royal line as much as possible in that 13 years so that they could maintain a grasp over the founding Titan and the like the royal bloodline or whatever, or the attack, or fuck, I can't even keep track of like all this shit that needs to be in place for
It just
their stuff to work out.
they need the coordinate, and they need someone of royal blood. But I
Right,
think, which
yeah,
I
that's
think they
it.
not they didn't say in so many words, but I think the coordinate, like a person of royal blood shouldn't take the coordinate, because then they will be bound by like the king's
The
like vow or
pacifism.
whatever, because
Right,
like
yeah.
yeah, to like whatever, keep their people ignorant or whatever dumb shit like that. So I think
Yeah.
they need to be separate. That's even why Zeke is even like, hey, we probably shouldn't touch until we're ready to do our plan of the euthanization.
Yeah,
Right.
saving yourself until marriage, brotherly marriage.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So
But wait, so what would happen if they touched? It's just
I
it
don't know.
would
I
trigger.
think neither of them really know exactly, right? They just like it's like almost because yeah, he just says like we probably shouldn't touch just in case. So I think
Right.
it's maybe just like to be as safe as possible.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. Like Zeke doesn't have a secret plan, and Aaron doesn't have a secret plan. But when they touch, things just go haywire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
Brendan,
like-
sorry. Brendan,
Sorry, I was going to say that would be very silly because
Oh.
it would take all like character motivation out of the equation. It would just be a
Right.
silly
Right.
story move, you know?
Yeah.
I guess it
Um,
would be because like then Aaron would be able to activate his coordinate power, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because we've seen him do it that one time when he touched the
With
smiling
the
thing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Bren, just now when you were talking about like they didn't want to do Zeke's plan, you're talking about the initial plan that Zeke presents them, not the euthanization
Yeah,
plan,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like
no. With
right.
the rumbling.
Yeah, I think like that was the whole reason why like Aaron took matters into his own hands, was that he felt like they were wasting time. And I think even Yelena said, like, you know, we told you the plan, and like you guys, the military, you were just wasting time. Like you need
Right.
to act on it as soon as possible. So, because
Yeah.
I guess at that point, Aaron didn't know the full euthanization plan, unless I don't know if they confirmed whether Yelena told him or not, or whether he only got the final plan when he met with Zeke on Liberio or not.
Right.
But it seemed like Aaron just felt like he had to take measures into his own hands because it was like paralysis by analysis kind of thing. Just the government was taking way too long, and Aaron just felt like they needed to do something.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
I've never heard the phrase paralysis by analysis, but that's pretty
me
cool.
neither. I liked it though.
Yeah.
I think that that's a saying. I really hope that is a saying and that I use it.
Well, hey, if you invented
It
it,
is
then
now.
holy shit.
Yeah.
that's
Oh my god,
crazy.
dude! If I invented it, holy shit! You can e-transfer me at shonenchumps@gmail.com. Just kidding. That's a freebie for all you guys out there.
Damn it, dude, it's a book. It's a straight up book. Yeah. Somebody wrote the book on it.
Don't e-transfer me. Oh no. So yeah. What else can we expect? So there's this. Aaron's got this grudge against Reiner, like, more than anyone else. He doesn't even see Reiner in the blimp, and he's like, Reiner! Like, as the blimp comes.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, that blimp's far
okay.
away. How do you know Reiner's in there?
Speaking of which, it's like I'm confused as to, well, I know why. Like Reiner almost killed himself because of his guilt, and like he feels like he needs to atone, but then he sees like the young Titan candidates, and he's like, I'm their savior. I need to be a role model to them, so I can't die. But like, not dying and actively attacking are two different things. So why is he going directly to war? I guess to rescue the kids, right? But also
Yeah.
he's there to fuck shit up. So is he
yeah, I
just
mean, I
leaning
think-
into it? Is he
I
just
think
like, oh,
it's-
I've sinned enough. It's time to just, it's just like Aaron. He's like, well, you know what? I've killed so many people already. It's time to just stick to it.
I think that
Commit
that's
to
what
the
it
bit.
is, because really now we see both sides, and we can understand both sides, and both of them really, like, literally every character in the show is just like a victim of circumstance, right? And they just have to play
Right.
their hand, and like, that's just the way it goes. Like, we can sympathize with everyone here, and I think we
Right.
talked about, like, last season, like, it's probably going to end in peace, and now I'm just thinking more about it. I'm realizing that the
Peace?
yeah, dude. You think what? No, you guys don't think?
I think it's going to be mutual destruction.
Yeah, oh, dude, that would be better. I would be glad if it didn't have like a warm and fuzzy ending. I don't think that I don't think that peace is necessarily going to be a warm and fuzzy ending. Still, like, I think there are going to be
Oh,
consequences.
okay.
I think there are going to be.
Right.
I think there's going to be death.
Right.
And
okay.
and loss. But, like, I mean, I wonder, I was just thinking about the character of Falco, and he's actually one of the only characters who seems to see things from both sides.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think, Aaron is aware of things from Reiner's perspective. Like, he gets it, and Reiner gets it from Aaron's perspective. Like, you see that in their meeting. He's, like, Reiner's like, or Aaron says, like, why did my mom have to die? Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And, like, Aaron doesn't, like, feel bad about what he does next, which is kill a bunch of people's loved ones, even though he gets that Reiner and him are the same. I think he even says, like, Reiner, you and me are the same.
He does, yeah.
Because they literally are, right? Like, they're mirroring each other in their struggles. They just grew up in different parts. But this kid, Falco, he really appreciates both sides more than anyone else. And, when Gobby is saying, like, oh, like, why did they have to kill these people? Like, why did this have to happen? Falco says, like, we did the same thing to them.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think I think is going to be a very important character.
For sure.
In
for
the next,
sure.
in the next part of the season, because he's seeing that, and I think, and I guess maybe you could say Armin too, like, characters who are talking, who, like, see things from both sides and are trying to reach like a mutual understanding.
Mhm.
I think that mutual understanding is going to be reached, just like it seems like the nature of what things will happen from my perspective. But like I said, I think there will be a lot of consequences before that.
Dylan, you're making me think. Like, earlier when I was saying that every character needs to, like, self-actualize and reach their full potential, this fucking Falco kid has been around this whole time, and yeah, it's time for him to, like, do something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's the key. Maybe he's the key to, like, all this.
Yeah. I mean,
And I
he
don't
is
just
the
mean
star
his, like,
of the
blood
ending
or whatever
credits.
the fuck. Yeah. Like,
Yeah. I mean, you know what? Like, I had some of these thoughts, but I think, like, I love talking with you guys because I think it makes me think about these things, like, literally as we're podcasting, and raise these points.
Right.
Like I probably wouldn't have gone down this road if I was just like sitting at home alone. So
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like things definitely become clearer to me as well when I'm bouncing these ideas off of you guys, because
yeah. So yeah, I think that's something we'll see. Falco's a really good character. Like it was really even good seeing him early on with, like even with talking with Reiner, and he's not the strongest candidate, but he cares so much about Gabi, and Reiner's like, well then like you can't give up. Like if you don't want, you need to get the Titan from me then. If you don't want her to get it.
Yeah.
Right.
He's so likable too. Like he's just like a good kid.
Yeah, dude, he's such a good kid. And even when
unlike Gabby, I fucking hate Gabby.
Yeah, that was another thing. They interact with that young girl, like I think Kaya is her name or something like that.
Yes, yeah. At the orphanage run by Thing's parents, Sasha's parents.
And she talks about how a soldier saved her years before. We actually saw that event. I don't know if you guys
that was in an
this.
episode.
Yeah, Sasha saves her, and she says like she wants to be like. But that was really cool because she is such a nice person, and she figures out that they're Marleyan, and even tries to help them get back to Marley but when she finds out that Gabi killed Sasha, she sees red, man. She grabs a knife and she goes at her, and
that was a good scene.
That was a really good scene, and even Gabi's just shocked. Like I thought you were my friend, and it's interesting. Like I mean, they're kids, like so. Gabi still doesn't like fully get it. Like she's still like, why are they keeping me alive? I thought they were devils. Whereas like Falco gets it all already.
And it's like that's like the crazy thing is that even when they're in like the blasted out ruins of her village, and like this girl's like crying, being like, "Why did my mother deserve to die?" And then like Gabby's like spouting the rhetoric that she's been fed her whole life, like we're demons, we deserve to die, like our ancestors, and it's like, but my mother had nothing to do with that. She lived here in this house her whole life.
So heartbreaking.
I
she
know.
Was like,
it was
my
great.
mother spent. She was like, my mother spent her whole island or her whole life on this island. She was born here. She never did anything like that.
Exactly. And then like the fact that like even then she still kept her composure and just tried to make Gabby see things from her point of view. It wasn't until she realized that she literally pulled the trigger on her hero that she resorted to violence.
Yeah, I think like. We realized last season, as Sean so eloquently put, it's just racism. But I think these moments, they really do a lot to add so much depth to what's happening.
For sure.
To make it not just like simply like the theme is racism, but it just shows how it really affects people, how it affects different generations, and like rhetoric and propaganda that like how that carries through. Like as time goes on, and those biases and what you believe. That actually reminds me that there's another really quote in episode 16. It's where Peak pretends to defect to Aaron's side for a moment. And Gabi is just confused. And I mean, of course, we know in the end Peak was lying, but she says to Peak, I thought we were trying to show the world that we were good Eldians. If we just worked hard and proved that, then one day we'd be set free. And that like really reminded me of like, the obvious comparison of like the Holocaust, and like the sign outside of Auschwitz famously said like, work will set you free.
Yeah,
he was,
exactly.
Like, telling people like, oh, if you just work hard, we won't
someday
kill you. And it's just like, another just showing that message of like propaganda and how all of these people have been brainwashed on both sides.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I guess even just in general, just the idea of bringing in these children characters, I think was really a good move for the story. Because I mean, of course, Aaron and them, they started off as kids, but they very quickly aren't kids anymore. And it's like good seeing this perspective from these children's perspective, especially Falco.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Like, maybe Attack on Titan is just like 21st century, like a 21st century text for young youth to show them like all the different reasons why racism is bad. Like, imagine when you're walking into your first day of grade 9 English class in high school, instead of giving you To Kill a Mockingbird, they just like, your teacher pulls up a TV, they press play, and it's like dun 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 dun.
Yeah, that's ideal. I mean, like, honestly too, it's just like also talking about like the futility of war, and like, you know, sins of the father can't be like burdened or shouldered by the child. Yeah, it's like, and the crazy thing is, it's like there are so many, like countless real life parallels to like some of the stuff that we see in the show. And it's like an interesting statement to make in a lot of ways, because like I don't remember specifically what it was, but like I remember watching like a video, like some Vice coverage or something of like a war zone in a civilian area, and like, I don't know, I think like the military was, I don't know, attacking or like destroying or like raiding like a village of some kind, and you see like this father run out with like 2 children, right? Like he's carrying one and the other he's dragging along by the hand, and like he's like screaming at them, and the subtitle is like, remember this day, don't forget what they did to us. And it's like, you see literally that. I'm not sure exactly where in the show or who said it, but I remember seeing that, and then remembering that like video coverage of like real life warfare and being like, oh fuck, like they're actually trying to get at this mentality that, like, I mean, humanity can't seem to shake at all, right? Is that like the like generational pain is just a thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Yeah, there's a lot of good in this show, and I think we're in store for a really, really great and satisfying ending. We talked about in our podcast on season 3 that it is make or break in this season, and I am so impressed with this season and so pleased. And it's just like, I can't believe it. It's a different show, and it's just fantastic. It recontextualizes so much, and I'm finally ready to like recommend this show to people. You know?
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
I can do it now. I can do it.
Like, yeah, I definitely feel the same way. I'm like really satisfied with what we got. I'm like, my small complaints are just temporary. Again, it's just like, I just don't want to wait. And I know like everybody's just like, go read the manga, the answer's right there, but like, also, no, dude. I want to see it the way I've seen it so far.
To switch now would be way too jarring.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. It is totally just a me thing, but also I want it to be done, and I want it to be good, and I completely agree. I want to be able to recommend this to people and just be like, trust me, it gets fantastic. Because so far it's proven to do so.
Like, I'm not going to switch to the manga because I like color and music and sound effects, you know?
Yeah,
and
sure.
all the cool action scenes. Like, yeah, sure, I'd see them as like stills, but like, I want to see them in motion, baby. Like, and like, Dylan, to go back to what we were talking about at the very beginning about edging yourself while watching the show, are you looking forward to waiting the next year to see the end of what this turns into?
No, I mean that's too much of a wait. Like,
right,
you know, like that it sucks to have to, knowing that I have to wait that long.
Yeah.
And that you have to recap again.
Yeah, that I'll probably have to recap because there's a ton going on.
Right.
But yeah, like I'm down for this to occupy my brain for a little longer.
Right. I'm very envious of whoever picks up the show right after it's finished airing. Like, and just watches 80 episodes in a row, 90 episodes in a row. So lucky. I mean, assuming that the end is good. I do think, Dylan, you're saying you're ready to recommend this show to people. I think you might be counting your chicken before it's hatched. We don't know for sure yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Right. We'll see.
Fingers crossed, though. It's looking good, is what I have to say.
It's looking good. Prognosis is good.
Yeah.
Actually, Sean, you mentioning just like wanting to watch the anime because you want to see things in motion and sound effects and action scenes and music. That was another thing I picked up on. Was the music in some scenes just like floored me. The particular example that like really made me clue into the music. So rather quite late in the show, but it was the moment that I was like, whoa, I got to pay attention to more of the music because it's killing me. In episode 12, 11-minute mark, I'll say roughly, for anyone who wants to go back and watch it. Mikasa and Armin have just gone to see Commander Zachary to ask him for permission to go speak with Eren, and he denies their request. And then they leave the room and they're walking down the hall, and this like piano track comes in, and they're like talking about what to do next. And they're thinking, they should like go see Eren anyway. And then they see some soldiers go into Zachary's room, and I think they're going to be discussing something about Eren. So then they go back, and like Mikasa wants to like listen in at the door. But this whole time, this beautiful piano track is just kind of like building and building, and then we get the explosion in which Commander Zachary is assassinated. And it's like, dude, it's so cool.
Right.
It's just awesome. It's just awesome. It's just like
I should go rewatch that scene.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to.
I really love that scene. Oh, by the way, another now to change gears in terms of what I'm saying is the bomb is in his torture chair that I loved from last season. Remember he hangs that royal guy upside down and like feeds him food through his ass or some shit like that, or feeds his food from his ass to his mouth. Oh god, it's that torture chair
I think this is in the recap movie, so I do not remember this.
Yeah, that sounds really funny though.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I invite you to rewatch that scene. So
that's
sick.
pretty good. The only audio cue I remember from that scene is like the plop that Zachary's torso makes when it hits the ground after being exploded.
Oh god, yeah, that was quite a scene.
It's pretty gross.
Yeah. Okay, I mean that's all I really wanted to mention. I think we've all kind of gone over our thoughts, our expectations for the next season, what we're looking forward to, what we expect. Is there anything else you guys want to hit on?
No. Attack on Titan, baby.
Yeah, we covered everything. All I want from this entire show is a 10 out of 10 Jean moment. Like, this character, we need to see more. The best we got out of him was like one of the OVAs that came out after the first season.
Wow.
We need redemption. Not that he did anything bad, but we need him to do something extremely cool, okay? Before he dies.
Bring back
his inevitable
Marco.
death with Connie. They're going to hold hands and just drown or something. I don't know.
Not Marco's boat.
yeah.
Oh god.
Okay, so this has been the Shonen Chumps podcast. You can email us at gmail.com. That's so stupid. shonenchumps@gmail.com. If you have anything to say to us, any comments, any questions, we'd love it. Any recommendations for anime. Obviously, you've listened to this podcast, but you can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple iTunes Podcast, SoundCloud, blah, blah, blah. And
I think we should note that for the time being right now, all of our episodes are on YouTube, but on podcast apps, we only have the most recent 3 episodes. And that's kind of something we're going forward. So just in case you're wondering, like, hey, where did all those episodes go? I want to listen to an old episode. They are still all on YouTube, so you can get them there.
Check out the archive.
Yeah, and just in, Sean mentioned, if you want to email us, tell us your thoughts about this show. I think we always want to hear your thoughts, but in particular, I would love to hear what people think about this part of season 4. We have not read the manga yet, so if you don't mind not spoiling the manga, if you give us your thoughts, that would be dope.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing I have left to say is there's anime in the future we're looking forward to watching. There's Beastars Season 2. Who knows if we'll get around to watching Shaman King, but hey, that's back.
Oh, yeah.
Shaman Okay.
We probably won't podcast it, but there's the new Evangelion movie, the final one.
Yes.
There's
Good
Megalobox.
golly.
Megalobox, yeah. Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is back for second season. Sunny
Oh my
Boy,
God, I didn't
whatever
know
that
that.
show is. Yeah.
Sunny Boy. Odd Taxi.
Oh yeah,
So
there's
many
Odd Taxi,
things.
right?
So many shows.
Yeah, maybe tell us if you want us to podcast any of these.
Yeah.
Or all of these. We probably won't do all of them. Full disclosure. You know who we are. But some of them, huh?
I'm down.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Okay, so we've been the Shonen Chumps.
We still are the Shonen Chumps.
And we will always be the Shonen Chumps.
Thanks for listening. See you next time. Kisses.
Thanks.
See you, Space Cowboy.